Think about everything you did this week. Now here's the uncomfortable part. Most of it produced almost nothing. A small handful of things generated nearly all the actual results. And the reason this is hard to accept is that the useless work didn't feel useless while you were doing it. This pattern has a name, and you've probably heard a mangled version of it. The real story is more interesting and more useful than the productivity guru version, because it also tells you when the rule fails and how people wreck their own results applying it. It starts in 1896 with an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto, who noticed that a small minority of the population owned the large majority of the land. Then he noticed something similar in his garden, a minority of the pea pods producing most of the peas. Decades later, a quality engineer named Joseph Giron took that observation and generalized it into a working idea. In most systems, there's a vital few and a trivial many. A small number of causes produce most of the effects. The reason it keeps showing up is mathematical. We're taught to expect the world to look like height. Most people near average, extremes rare and mild. But a huge amount of life doesn't work that way at all. Anyway, success speeds on success, where being popular makes you more popular, where money earns money, where one good idea opens doors to more. Outcomes stop clustering around the average and start concentrating at the top. That concentration is what produces the pattern. Once you see it, it's everywhere. A minority of a company's customers generate most of its revenue. A small fraction of a country's roads carry most of the traffic. A handful of software bugs cause the overwhelming majority of crashes. That last one is why fixing a few specific defects can transform an entire product. But here's the first thing almost everyone gets wrong. It is not a law. It's a pattern. And the numbers aren't magic. Sometimes it's 90-10, sometimes 70-30, sometimes 99-1. The point isn't the ratio. It's that the distribution is lopsided. And notice they don't have to sum to 100. That's a coincidence of the original example that made the phrase memorable and confused people ever since. There's nothing broken if 20% of your effort drives 60% of results. Second correction, and it's important, it doesn't apply everywhere. Where outcomes are genuinely independent and additive, you get a bell curve, not a long tail. 20% of your meals don't provide 80% of your calories. 20% of your sleep doesn't give you 80% of the rest. The pattern shows up where things compound, connect, and feed back on themselves. Applying it to systems that don't work that way is how people end up cutting things they genuinely needed. Which brings us to the biggest trap. People hear this and conclude, delete the 80%, but the trivial many often quietly support the vital few. The best seller came out of a pile of mediocre attempts. The one client who transformed your business came from 100 conversations that went nowhere. And there's a harder problem underneath. You usually can't identify the 20% in advance. It's obvious afterward. That's not insight. That's hindsight. The work that mattered only became obvious once it paid off. So what actually works? Stop guessing and start measuring. Look back honestly at where your results genuinely came from over the last year. Not where the effort went, where the outcome came from. People are consistently wrong about this, which is exactly why checking is valuable. Then use it as a question rather than a rule. Not, what should I delete, but what am I underdoing that's clearly working? The real leverage is usually in doing more of a proven small thing, not in a dramatic cull of everything else. That's the honest version. The world is lopsided. Your results are concentrated in fewer places than you think. But the value isn't in worshiping a ratio. It's in the habit of asking where your leverage actually sits, and then being willing to be surprised by the answer. Most of what you do doesn't move the needle. That's not a reason to feel bad. It's the most useful map you'll get all year. So, what's the one thing that produced most of your results this year? Comments. And subscribe for more of this stuff that actually holds up.